Web Accessibility Barriers and Demonstration, Tamara Rorie.
What I'm going to be doing for you is just demonstrating how JAWS is used and how, JAWS in particular is the screen reader that I prefer, although I can use several. And I'm going to demonstrate for you how we as people who are visually impaired use a screen reader and what the screen reader does for us. And I'll show you some websites that are accessible, and I'll show you some that are not as accessible. The first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the JAWS voice, and I'm going to slow this down because I have it speeded up quite a bit because I don't like to listen slow. And I want you to be able to understand what I'm doing. I'm going to bring up an internet.
You listen that fast?
That's not that fast. I'm going to slow this down. That's normal. But I'm going to slow it down, and I'm going to let you guys decide where you want it. That's why I did that, so that you can decide. I'm going to slow it down. Now, I was going to slow it down in the settings, but since we don't really have a lot of time, I'm going to just slow it down, and then I'll be able to slow it down. Every time we change web pages, it's going to speed back up, but I'll slow it back down. Okay? So let's as a group decide where we want it, and clearly that's not where you guys want it apparently. So I'll go ahead and take it down some.
Slower.
Okay, now we got it a little bit slower.
Google search button. I'm feeling lucky button. Search reach event. Graphic Google. Link advertising programs.
Is that slow enough, or we want a little slower? Slower? Okay, let's give it a couple more.
Slower. Link advertising programs. Graphic Google. Search reach event.
Come on now, y'all.
That's
Is that okay? That's not the slowest setting, Stacey. It's slower. Is that slow enough?
Yes.
Okay.
We want you to set it on the southern.
Oh, that's right.
I can't change. I can't put it on southern. We do have different voices we can choose from, and I probably do have a southern voice, but I wouldn't know where to find it. I actually could give you guys a human voice instead of the synthetic voice, but the synthetic voice is what I grew up on because up until a few years ago, we didn't have human voice. And I don't like the human voice. I know that, I mean, not the human voice of the computer, the human voice of the computer. I am going to show you the difference, though, so you'll know. I find that people with cognitive disabilities prefer human voice over synthetic. But I do think it's mainly because the people who are blind have been using this technology much longer. We've been using it since the 80s. Those of us who are old enough to have been using it since the 80s. And so we grew up on speech that sounds like garble. Before this, I think this sounds really good. But, garble is what we learned to listen to first. So we're good with the synthetic. The human voice oftentimes will put the what they try to do with the synthesizer is they try to make it, have an ending where there's a period and a comma where there's a comma so that you have your pauses kind of in the right place and that kind of thing. And I find with the human voice they misinterpret that. So for example, if I'm reading let's say if I'm reading Dr. Christopher Lee, PH period D, or PH, however that would be, PH period D period, right? It would say Dr. Christopher Lee, PH D. I mean, it's going to say it like, it's going to think every one of those periods is the end of the sentence. So that's how it's going to read it, and that to me is absolutely maddening. So JAWS doesn't read it like that, and that's why I prefer the synthetic speech. One thing I was going to talk about is there's a bunch of different screen readers out there. There's one that is very good that is free. It's called NVDA. So for the people who want to use a screen reader who are visually impaired, it frankly is comparable to JAWS. I'll tell you what the problem is. The original speech that comes with it is also free. And that is where people are going to run into a major problem. That speech is the worst you've ever heard, and it has an English accent. So between it being really bad and having that accent, you can barely understand it. I mean, that's coming from someone who's used to bad speech. So you can imagine that someone else would have a real hard time. Now, all of us test with NVDA because it is a good software program, but what we do is because we have paid speech synthesizers, we can load other synthesizers and we can listen to NVDA with good speech, and so we can use it. So, but NVDA is one out there that is free for people who are visually impaired, and there are several free or less expensive ones out there for people who have cognitive disabilities.
And Tamara, I will say, we will post this on the website, on the wiki, so you'll have that.
Yes, this is all going to be available to you on the wiki. All right, so the other thing I'm going to do is, okay, I'm in Internet Explorer right now. I'm going to bring up a website that we often use to look at websites to see if they're accessible. Christopher does this quite a bit, and I am now addicted to it. He gave me this web address the other day, and I started pulling up websites right and left, and I love seeing what it says about them. It's not always accurate. I will say that it's close, but because you have to have human intervention. I'll show you an example by using the AMAC website.
Favorites menu, add to favorites, web accessibility tool, enter, leaving menus, Google-Windows Internet Explorer, about / terms of use link, web accessibility.
Okay, so I have the website up, and normally when you bring up a website with JAWS, it's going to read the whole page unless you stop it. Now, the other thing I will tell you is that people have their software set to do all kinds of things. I'll show you the settings real quick in a minute and let you see all the different things I could make this thing do. So I've set it the way I like it, including the speech, and there are certain parameters that you'd want to use if you were actually testing a website, because you don't want to have it set for personal use. You want to have it set for optimum use, and that way you can find out what the website will and won't do. Okay, so this website allows me to put in a web address.
Edit,
so it said web page address, and then it said edit. I'm in the edit box, and it said
web edit.
It said type in text, but it didn't say it the second time I went to it. So I'm going to type in the AMAC web address. Okay, dot.
Period.
.org. My keyboard does have a problem. This is a very old computer, and it does have a problem, so that might be why.
Tab, wave button, enter.
Okay.
1 frame, 2 landmarks, 2 headings, and 4 links. Wave report navigation.
Now, I'm going to take an opportunity to mention to you, when the screen came up, the first thing it did was tell me all kinds of things about the screen. It told me there were 1 landmarks, there were 2 frames, there's 4 headings. It said all that, and now it's going to read the screen. So I'm getting all kinds of information by using the software that will help me be able to navigate. Let me see, hopefully this is the same.
Those styles button, those contrast button, navigate blank, summary tab selected.
Okay, so we're on the summary tab.
Documentation outline tab blank, heading level 2 summary, wave was detected the following : list of 6 items, 0 errors, 0 alerts, 22 features, 14 structural elements, 0 HTML5 and ARIA, 5 contrast errors. Okay,
so this web page is about as close to perfect as you could possibly get. It has no errors. It also told me other things about how many features and things. The only thing it detected was something that it will detect on every web page that has images, and that it says that it has 5 contrast errors, and that's because it sees the picture, and the picture doesn't contrast the way it thinks it should with the screen. So it thinks that's an error, but it's really not, because all of our pictures have alt tagging, which it told us that, it would tell us that if I went into the report, it would show the alt tags for all the pictures, it would tell us everything. I want to run other websites through here. I want to show you another website. And I'm just going to go back up here. Hopefully I can get this out. We're going to the seeingeye.org website. It's where my wonderful dog came from. Okay, so this website, the reason I brought this one up is because I know they have a lot of pictures on the website, and I wanted you to understand that accessibility doesn't mean you have to give up all the visual things that you all love, and I was going to say can't live without, but somebody would think I was being facetious. So I'll just say that you all need it because you have eyes, you want to be able to see. All right, so, and plus the pictures have to be good on this site because they're of dogs. The first thing that we do when we look at a website is, when this page came up, it told me how many links there are. It told me frames, all kinds of information. And that's because I have that turned on, and I hear that stuff without even thinking about it because I'm so used to navigating on the web. I can actually, if I am not familiar with this website, if I don't know what's on here, actually, if I am familiar, let's say I want to find a link on the website, and I know it's in the middle of the page, and I know there's 400 links on here. I can bring up, JAWS will allow me to bring up a list of the links, only the links.
Links list dialog.
Now, so that's the list of links. Now, I don't know if you can actually literally see that or not.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The reason I'm asking you is because sometimes JAWS will give me information or allow me to do things, and it's saying it, but it's not showing it. JAWS does not always show the visual user what I'm hearing. There are also things on the page sometimes that I can hear that have been embedded by a developer for my use only. And JAWS will pick it up because JAWS is working under the hood at all times. So JAWS will pick up, for example, on the Amazon page, when you go to the main page, there's about 300 links when you go to the main page. And about 2 sentences in now, they've recently changed this. About 2 sentences in, there's a statement that says a more accessible version of this website is available at www.amazon.access/access, and there's a link that I can click. But I'm pretty sure that is not visible. And I actually didn't even know that kind of thing was being done up until recently. We did some work with a group called CourseSmart, and we were talking a lot about, we got to do a lot more with web accessibility. It's probably one of our first experiences based on a grant that we've had for a couple of years. And we got to really talking about web accessibility, and they were talking about how, we started talking more about how you can embed things. And I personally, there are these links on web pages that say screen reader users click here. And I'm thinking everybody can see that. And everybody knows it's accessible. But no, actually only the screen reader users are seeing it and hearing it. The rest of you all, it's totally anonymous. It's good on one hand because we get that information and we can click there and it's going to take us probably to a more accessible site or page. But the bad thing is the average public doesn't know how accessible some things really are and how people are doing it, how people are trying to comply. Google on their webpage, every time you bring up that home page, there's a thing on there that says, if you're using a screen reader, click this link, and it won't do the autofill search. How when you're doing a search, it tries to figure out what you're going to search for before you type it. And that can sometimes be a problem for the screen reader. So if you prefer that, you can click it, and then it'll take that out. It goes back to how Google used to be. So on this page, because I have a list of links up.
Go to make the Z and not font stop change con en español.
Okay, so all these are the links that I could click. And if I click this Spanish link, I'm going to have Spanish coming out of my screen reader. And my screen reader will read it in Spanish.
Donate to the Z, contact us, home, about us, support us, admission, raise a puppy, graduate services, events and inform, go to Six Flags event page, go to donate a lead puppy calendar contest voting ends. Second annual dollar for the puppy.
Let's go here.
Enter puppy calendar contest voting ends. Visited link. The Z and I puppy calendar cont more than a school. Blank heading level 1 news and information.
So when you go to a page, one of the important things is if you click on a link, usually there's going to be links at the top that are always on every page, and we always start at the top of the page. However, if you've used your headings properly, if you've used, cascading style sheets and done everything the way you should do, the way WC3 would tell you to do, you will have it set up where I can literally hit my heading.
Upcoming events. See and I register puppy calendar contest heading level 2.
And that's going to take me directly to where I want to be because it's one of my main headings. It's usually the thing is the first heading. Sometimes people will have things on their page where it won't be any heading. You click the link and then you still have to read through the whole thing to find it.
Blank. Graphic and collage of some of the puppy photos entered in the contest.
Okay, so according to my screen reader, I am now focused on a collage of puppy pictures that were entered in the contest. Do y'all see that? So I think the voting is over for this, but this website has all these pictures. They have all kinds of pictures of dogs. If you ever want to go to this website, seeingeye.org, it's all designed to get people to donate and to participate if you're close. They do have lots of things you can participate in. But the good thing is it has all these pictures of dogs, and every single one of them is tagged. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this and be doing more of it. We will be able to look at your website for you if you need us to, or any of that kind of thing. So just keep it in mind. If you ever want a hands-on demonstration, let us know that, and we can do that for you separately and personally, since we didn't get to do it today.
This video was funded by the State of Georgia ADA Coordinator's Office, a section of the Georgia State Financing and Investment Commission. For more information, please visit the Georgia Accessible IT Initiative's website at www.accessit.gatech.edu or visit the Georgia State ADA Coordinator's Office website at www.ada.georgia.gov. This video was produced by AMAC Accessibility at the Georgia Institute of Technology. To learn more about AMAC Accessibility, please visit our website at www.amacusg.org.